Greetings, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Welcome. Today is, I think it's Thursday, November the 14th, 2024, and the time is 12:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I am on break. Welcome. I've been trying to go live, I think, since early this morning. You hear my kids in the background. I'm at work. So I'm on a break. I have to go really quickly. I've been trying to get up my camera, do some things with my computer, and I just had some issues, but we're here. I only have about 15 or 20 minutes, but I was reading through the comment section on some of my videos, and I noticed that people were saying they needed an update video on NESARA, what it is, what's the history of NESARA, what are the components of NESARA, which are the benefits of the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. So welcome. Thank you so much for supporting me. I only have about 15 or 20 minutes, so I'll try to be as quickly as I can to talk about how President Trump will initiate NESARA. Now, President Trump has been waiting in the wings. You know, he's been working in the background to bring countries together for world peace. Now that he's been elected and he's serving as the president-elect, which, by the way, he just made an appearance to Washington, D.C. to meet with Biden on yesterday. So they were saying that was monumental and something that they hadn't expected. So President Trump may be coming back to do some things a lot earlier than what most people know. So as you know, as soon as he was elected, Xi Jinping of China came up and said that he wanted to work with Trump, and Vladimir Putin also made an announcement that he was going to call Trump personally to work with him. Now, we know that behind the scenes, these countries, now that I'm talking, the kids would be getting louder in the background in the next room, but they had said they wanted to work with President Trump and they're ready for world peace. And people in the Middle East, in terms of like Saudi Arabia and some of those other countries, have also, the leaders have made announcements that they're ready for world peace and that they do not want to have World War III or any wars. Now, President Biden, of course, you know, the way he was moving kind of seemed like we were about to have World War III. But these prelates and presidents of countries have said they don't want war. So now that President Trump is back in office, we can move forward with the National Economic Security and Reformation Act and the global version of that, the Global Economic and Security Reformation Act. Hello, family. Good morning. Peaceful day to you, Diamond, Sister Pamela, Brother Michael, Ace, Sister Sister, and who is that green light? Hello, Melanated. So I'm sorry I only have about 15 to 20 minutes because I am at work, but I've been trying to go live for like since before work. Then I came to work, couldn't get the camera working. I'm on break now. Let's get right into NESARA. The reason why it took so long for these benefits to occur is because Biden was in office, or he was the got president at the forefront, and they couldn't let all these benefits happen during a Biden watch because they would just have, you know, totally stolen our wealth and re-empowered themselves. So people have been asking me for an updated version of the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. Family, pray for me because every time I try to go live, my camera acts up, my computer acts up, things in the background start to, you know, noises get louder. Like, I don't know what's going on. This has been going on for the last year. Pray that if God wants me to keep going on, that, you know, things work out. So I wanted to show you what the benefits of NESARA are. I thank God for my friend Murray in Nashville, Tennessee, who sent me this information because I've lost like all the stuff that I had online, and anything that you would see documented online with the National Economic Security Reformation Act would be removed. That's crazy. It's like they don't want us to know this information. So I'm going to read some things for you. I'm going to go across it quickly, and I'm going to put this link in the description section for you. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. So the National Economic Security and Reformation Act is the most groundbreaking information or reformation to sweep not only the United States, but across the globe. This act does away with the three-letter organizations, the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, and the shadow government, and much more. So I want you to be able to see my face. I'll take that down until we read what the benefits of NESARA are, okay? So the Global Alliance, which is what they are calling the White Knights of NESARA, or all of these countries, military, and their presidents have been working together behind the scenes to implement NESARA and JASARA for the people of the world. What is the background or the history? There was a farmers' claim lawsuit that eventually became the National Economic Security and Reformation Act law. It was started in the 1970s when the farmers began losing their property to the banks that were based on fraudulent contracts. They also were dealing with money manipulation and court fraud because no matter what they did, the United States Incorporated was working against them. By 1978, there was a retired military by the name of a military general, by the name of Roy Swashinger Jr. He brought a lawsuit against the United States Incorporated by the farmers or through the Farmers Union, and it began working its way through the United States court system. In the process of the lawsuit going through the United States court system, it was brought out in court that in the early 1900s, the privately owned United States Incorporated, which you guys knew had usurped authority from our republic and incorporated in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization. Hi, I'm great. Okay, darling, thank you. He brought a lawsuit against the United States. In the process of that, So it was brought out in court that in the early 1900s, the privately owned corporation that was owned by the bankers, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and others had illegally changed the Constitution so that they could take over the United States economic system so as to establish its own Federal Reserve System. You all know that. But what happened was United States taxpayer dollars were collected by the IRS through the independently owned United States Incorporated. Then the money was sent to the British Crown, independently owned by the City of London. Then the monies went to the independently owned Vatican Bank, where it was dispersed to their central bank across the world. After a month later, the monies were returned to the New York Central Bank, where the United States citizens were charged interest to use our own money, and this ran up the national debt. Now, you guys know by the year of 2000, the Farmers Union suit had worked its way through the court system in the United States, but it also went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the farmers. The successful lawsuit was then presented to Congress, but it took the Navy SEALs, you guys know that, and the Delta Force to use guns in hand, to storm the White House and force Clinton to sign the National Economic Security Reformation Act into law. On October 10th, this happened under the general orders of the United States military. That's when the elite Navy SEALs and Delta Force went and forced Clinton to sign it into law, but he did not want to implement the National Economic and Security Reformation Act. He was given orders, he and the White House security personnel were given orders to stand down, to disarm, and to allow witnesses, and to allow this NESARA Act to be pushed forward. Of course, he never implemented it, and neither have any United States president since, with the exception of President Donald Trump. The reason why he will allow this to happen is because he was chosen by the Global Alliance to do so. He is a consummate businessman. He didn't play games or politics like most of the other presidents did. So they actually tapped on his shoulder. Some people say encouraged him to do this, and others say they kind of nudged him, like pressured him or told him you're going to do this, kind of like forced him to do this. I don't know. However, was it by force or they just encouraged him to do it or he wanted to do it? To me, it doesn't matter. President Trump is the one that was selected to do this. Now, in 2001, after negotiating with the Supreme Court justices, after much negotiation, the Supreme Court justices ordered the current Congress to pass resolutions approving NESARA. That took place on September the 9th when it was approved, 2001, 18 months later after NESARA became law. As you know, NESARA was supposed to be announced at the Pentagon on 9/11. So let me read this a little bit. Many powerful groups have tried to prevent the implementation of NESARA, but from its very inception, Bush Senior, the corporate government, major banks, and the Carlyle Group have opposed NESARA. To maintain secrecy, the case details and the docket numbers were sealed and revised within the original Congressional Registry to reflect a commemorative coin, and then again it was revised even more recently. This is why there are no public congressional records and why a search for this law will not yield the correct details until after the reformations are made public. So sometimes people say to me, Kia, it's not true what you're saying. We can't find it online. I get that. It's because it's been scrubbed from the internet. But it was supposed to be announced and it wasn't. What they did was you guys know, they took the gold out of the World Trade Center. They told some people not to show up to work, and then they imploded the towers. Hi, everybody. Hit the like button, family. And then they sent a plane into the Pentagon from which the announcement was supposed to be made. So I'm going to put this, let me see if I can put this in the chat for you so you can read this for yourself. Thank you again, Murray, for sending this to me because most people can't find it. Here it is in the chat. So I put it in the chat for you, and I'll put it in the description section as well. Here are the benefits. Sorry, I have to go fast. You know, one of my colleagues came in and said students will be coming in a few minutes. They're coming in a little early. Number one, NESARA, National Economic Security and Reformation Act, will zero out all credit card, mortgages, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. This is the Federal Reserve's nightmare because we will have a debt jubilee where everybody's debt all across the globe will be wiped away. This will happen this year, 2024. This is the year of the Platinum Jubilee. Number two, abolishes all income tax. Number three, abolishes the IRS. And the employees of the IRS will be transferred into the United States Treasury National Sales Tax Area. Number four, create a 14% flat rate non-essential new items only tax revenue for the government. In other words, foods and medicine will not be taxed, nor will use items such as old homes. Nothing will be taxed except for large items, ticketed items, a 14% tax. Number five, increase benefits to our senior citizens. Six, returns constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. Seven, reinstate the original title of nobility amendment. Hundreds of thousands of Americans under the control of foreign powers will lose their citizenship. They'll be deported to other countries and barred from re-entry for the remainder of their lives. And millions of people will soon discover their college degrees are now worthless paper. Ooh, that's a little scary. We can come back later on this evening to go over this in detail if you want to. Just let me know in the comment section if you need me to. Eight establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. 9, monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities of special interest groups. 10, creates a new United States Treasury rainbow currency that's backed by gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. Ending the bankruptcy of the United States initiated by Franklin Roosevelt in 1933. 11, forbids the sale of American birth certificate records as chattel property, and that would be done away with by the United States Department of Transportation. So they were the ones that were selling our records. That will stop. That will cease. So no more slavery, chattel property, or any of that. 12, initiate new United States Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. That's exciting. So we're going to have a whole new banking system. You all know they all have to be Basel III compliant, meaning they have to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, and they have to have transparency. They can no longer sell anything or use our money to invest and other things. Hold on, here go my students.
Can I?
So I recognize that this was muted. Family, just wait 1 minute. Y'all hold on 1 minute. Where were we? Forbids the sale of birth certificate records as chattel property. That was number 11. Number 12, initiates new United States Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. Number 13, eliminates the Federal Reserve banking system. And during this transition period, the Federal Reserve will be allowed to operate side by side, which you all know, of the United States Treasury for 1 year in order to remove all Federal Reserve notes from the money supply. So under President Trump in 2020, before he left, he actually put the duties of the Federal Reserve and the IRS underneath the umbrella of the United States Treasury Department. So that was officially done already, but now it'll be openly announced that it has happened. Number 14, restores financial privacy. Number 15, retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. Number 16, it will cease all aggressive United States government military actions worldwide. So this is why you hear countries moving forward and their presidents saying that they're ready to talk with President Trump to have world peace. Are you mocking me? So we're going to have world peace. Along with that came 209 nations stating that they wanted to,
Excuse me, ma'am. Are you talking?
209 nations working together to drop the dollar. So all of that happened behind the scenes. Not only did they want to drop the dollar, the United States dollar, but they also promised that they will have world peace and they would go back to the gold standard. They will cease all aggressive United States government military actions worldwide. 17, world peace. 18, release enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. So this is why Gold Star Mother Susan Price and I have worked tirelessly to produce videos to tell you how to put your humanitarian projects together, because many of you will become wealthy with your currencies, and others of you have already been a part of programs, humanitarian programs that were initiated in the 1980s and 90s. So that money that you were told would be injected into the global economy, you'll be able to use to help humanity. You'll be able to get rid of, hold on, baby. You'll be able to get rid of homelessness. You'll be able to clean up the water, the air, and all those things. So if you want those videos, I'll put them in the description section for you on how to create your humanitarian projects. Also, finally enables the release of over 6,000 patents of suppressed technologies that are being withheld from the public under the guise of national security. This will include free energy devices, anti-gravity, and sonic healing machines, as well as your med beds. So I know you guys, good day, you can hear me. I know you guys, some of you are just checking in. I see 429 of you here. Please let us know your thoughts about this. We went over the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, which will make the whole world wealthy. So a lot of people don't know about this. One of the components that's missing from this is that every single person on the planet will receive tens of thousands of dollars per month. If they're 21 and over, tens of thousands of dollars per month in the amount. Some people say 10,000 between 100,000. I think that's a bit excessive, but tens of thousands per month for 11 years. And that money would be deposited into a non-interest bearing quantum account. So it's non-interest bearing, which is why you need to make sure you understand money management, wealth management, how to create a trust. You want to make sure you understand estate planning so that you just don't spend that money, doesn't run right through you, because it's only for 11 years. And the reason why that money is going to be given to everybody across the globe is because we've all been enslaved or through financial slavery, banking, interest rates being put upon us. Anytime you would get a loan from the government or from a bank, a loan, what they would do was actually have you to sign a document, and your signature actually gave them access to your trust. So each person, when they were born, had a birth certificate. Your birth certificate was signed by your mom, and then they traded that birth certificate on the New York Stock Exchange, accruing interest, and all that money that was attached to your birth certificate went into a trust. So that when you needed a home, that you weren't supposed to have to get a loan from the bank. It was supposed to be offset by your trust. Any was it more, like to own a home, to rent, pay your bills, all that was supposed to come out of your trust. Instead, what happened was your birth certificate was securitized, of course, and it's gaining interest. And then when you got a loan from the bank will have you to sign off what was a promissory note, giving them with access to your trust.
Okay, so when I get old,
No,
I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on.
When we get older, so it's like older, we're gonna have like 1,000.
So right now, so President Trump will be the new president, right?
Yeah.
Right. So President Trump was secretly tapped onto by the military to release trillions of dollars really into the global economy. That's what a lot of people don't know. That money will go to each person's account, but you have to be 21 and over. I'm talking to my class now.
Like 59,
20, any age 21 and over.
Okay. So to the whole United States.
To the whole United States. But this is a global thing. So what happened in the United States and all across the globe. This is why, I don't know if your parents told you that when President Trump was nominated or he was elected as the president, world leaders actually came out and said, we want to work with Trump. Like Russia, Vladimir Putin said that. Who else? Xi Jinping of China said that. And so this is something that the news won't tell people. Xi Jinping is the president of China. Yes. No, I'm here.
So
go ahead.
So when does these people get the money?
So, okay, President Trump is the president elect. He's supposed to get nominated or inaugurated in January, right? It may happen like once he steps forward in January, or it could happen earlier if, now this is some history, some things that they're not going to tell you, if it has been proven that the whole Biden administration was false. Because remember, they were accusing Biden of stealing the elections and the 2020 elections. If it has been proven that he, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and their whole administration participated in election fraud, and there have been cases brought against them, look up the Brunson brothers. They brought a case against Biden. If that case, in fact, has been heard by the Supreme Court and it has been proven that that administration stole the elections, they can wipe out they can make Biden step down now. Crazy, huh? They can make him step down now, and then President Trump will have the authority to release all those funds right away. So you guys may have missed it. Not only will President Trump release funds here, but world leaders will release funds all across the globe and erase everybody's debt. So like if your mom has a mortgage where she's paying a mortgage, to own her home, or even she's paying rent, all that will stop. If she has a car loan, or your dad has a loan when he's trying to buy a car, and you know how they have to make monthly payments, that will stop. If they have student loans, all that will stop, and we will have what's called a debt jubilee. It has happened historically for thousands of years where they had debt jubilees. It's just that in our time period, and maybe even our parents' time period, they stopped doing that. But in some countries, they actually have a debt jubilee. That's biblical. So every 7 years, you're supposed to eliminate everybody's debt and say nobody has to pay debt anymore. That came from the Bible. Every 7 years, and then every 50th year, you're supposed to have a complete debt jubilee all across the globe. So what happened is when the children of Israel were in slavery to the Egyptians, you guys heard about the Moses story, how he led them out of Egypt. When he led them out of Egypt, they went through the wilderness before they went into the promised land. Well, the God of the Bible told Moses, tell the people that at the end of 7 years, you're supposed to count 7 years, and on that seventh year, all debt is wiped away. Because when people have a lot of debt, when they have to pay a lot of bills, it becomes so frustrating. You know, your parents become frustrated. You know, couples sometimes
So
fight.
right now, so when they hit 7 years, if you know that,
And so that was supposed to happen every 7 years, no debt. It was supposed to happen then on the every 49th year. Also, you count them 7. So every 7th year, let me make it simple. And then every 50 years, that was supposed to happen. It used to happen. It hasn't happened in a very long time. It will happen in your lifetime. It will happen. It's supposed to happen this year. This is called a debt jubilee. It's called a platinum debt jubilee year. This is what mainstream media will not tell you guys. They won't tell your parents this. So your parents don't know.
So how do you know all this stuff? Like, did you get a word from somebody?
I'm a journalist, and so I've been doing a lot of research. I know a lot of military friends that's been working to do this. I know a lot of people that work in finance that's been working towards this from all over the world. So President Trump was selected by the military to do this. This is what the news won't tell you. They will just tell people to hate Trump. They'll also call him a racist, but they don't tell you that President Trump was actually one of the ones who initiated an act to let go, the First Step Act. When he was the president first time, he released a whole bunch of people out of prison who didn't have, they have felonies, but they were nonviolent felony offenses. And most of those people 90% of those people he released from prison were Black men. That's what the news won't tell us. Trump released a lot of men and freed them to be able to go home to their families. So that's something that that they don't tell us. Yes, baby.
Where did you get this from?
So that's a good question. I know sometimes it does that, that register. So I've read a lot. When you're an independent researcher, you have to look through documents that the public doesn't know about. You talk to people high up in the military that everybody don't know. You get to talk to bankers who are working behind the scenes. God has blessed me to be able to meet certain people who are actually working to do this.
So what you doing at this school?
Because and look, if a woman doesn't work, she doesn't eat, right?
You'll probably be like a good, history too.
Yes,
I know history too.
You'll probably be a good history teacher.
Thank you. Speaking of history, did you know that President Trump told African Americans, you need to learn your history? He said you know why he said that? That's what he said, because if you don't learn your history, you won't understand who you are or where you came from. Let me do you one better. Everybody listen up. Because we've heard the story about slavery. We all came from slave ships. Well, but if you do your own research, you might find out that your parents and your grandparents and great-grandparents never were enslaved. That whole transatlantic slave story is called his story.
That was fake.
It could have been. Have you ever seen a slave ship? How many people in here has ever seen a real slave ship? Raise your hand. What? How many people have seen a slave ship?
We wasn't. That's why.
But why isn't it in a museum? Why don't they have a slave ship? Why don't they have a slave ship in the museum? Why don't they have? Hold on, sweethearts. Why don't they have? Now, if you conquered a nation, wouldn't you have relics or? Hold on, babies. If you had conquered a country, sweetheart, if you had conquered a nation, wouldn't you have something to show, that you conquered it?
They probably wanted it there.
But what happened was, let me tell you something. Somebody look up the 1828 Webster's definition of American.
We gotta get a computer. We gotta get a computer.
Oh, you don't have a phone? Y'all not allowed to use phone.
Nah.
The
I have
1828.
my phone.
The
It's not
18.
her.
Look, can you use? Are you allowed to use it? Okay. Listen to me. The 1828 Webster's definition of American is copper-colored people found here by Christopher Columbus, but now applied to the European. When the colonists, when the Europeans came over here to America, they said that the Indians, the natives, were dark-skinned people with high cheekbones, wide noses, and kinky hair. Who does that sound like?
Black people.
Me. That's who they found here. You, your ancestors. So let me tell you, this is why President Trump said you need to know your history. Most of your parents weren't from the transatlantic slave trade. You didn't come from Africa. Most of y'all were, your parents, your grandparents were already here. 1968.
My mom was born.
Let me tell you something else. President Trump wants to.
Born in 1950.
Was she? That's my mom. My mom was born that year, 1952.
I don't know.
Listen, let me tell you something else Trump has said. He's getting rid of what's called critical race theory from schools because he doesn't think, a lot of people who are conservatives like me don't believe schools should be teaching every child that you came from a slave ship, because it's not, every family did not. And y'all don't. But imagine if they kept trying to program you. And listen up in the back. What if they told everybody who was from Europe, who are Caucasian brothers and sisters, that all of your ancestors had slaves? Isn't that unfair? Because all of their ancestors, they did not. Can you prove it?
Yeah.
Where's the proof? Where's the proof?
Where's the proof?
Where my mother did my grandma.
Did they tell you that, or did the history books tell you that? When history books, listen, history is his story. It's not your story. It's the story. History always comes from the perspective of a conqueror. So I want to challenge your thinking. Like, really, if your great-great-grandparents or grandparents or great-grandparents are living, ask them these questions.
My great-grandparents.
Ask them the questions. Now, listen up. Listen up, babies. The Hollywood always shows you what slavery movies, right? Though a lot of those were based on a book or a movie producer called Alex Haley. Alex Haley. What about Harriet Tubman?
She was a slave.
She was allegedly a slave, and she was allegedly somebody who freed the slaves. Have you ever seen her?
Yes. Right there.
Okay, how do we know she lived?
Because
historical proof? Was it? But can I draw a picture of somebody and say, this is the person that brought everybody out of slavery?
No.
Why can't I?
She's real.
I can do it, and I can put it in a book. So there are certain people that created history, and they created the history books. So that whole slavery narrative, it was propagated or pushed, hold on, babies, through a movie that most of you don't know about called Roots. Have you ever heard of Roots? Yeah, I've seen that. Well, Alex Haley, who published that book called Roots, and said that all of his family was slaves. Do you know that it was proven that he lied?
Who?
Alex Haley lied about his ancestors all coming from slaves. You can, when you get home, look it up. Write down, listen.
No, you gotta shut up.
Write down, I want you to write down Harold Corlander. If you really want to know, there was a guy by the name of, Harold Corlander, who challenged Alex Haley in court. And it was proven that Alex Haley lied about his ancestors coming from slavery and stole the characters from Harold Corlander's book called The African. Harold Corlander, he was a Caucasian, a white brother. He won his case against Alex Haley. Alex Haley had lied.
He lied to become famous or something like that.
Was slavery real or not? Well,
what about Martin Luther King and Rose?
Does it even matter anymore?
Thank you. Doesn't even matter. So it to me,
Yes,
this is
because Trump said he's bringing it back.
say he's bringing what back?
Slavery.
Trump never said he.
You never said that. Y'all getting stuff from the internet.
When did Trump say he's bringing slavery back?
Y'all getting stuff from the internet from TikTok and stuff.
No.
Yeah. So you gotta hear. Listen, you gotta hear stuff come from people's mouths.
I know it was fake 'cause Trump
So
never said it.
he never.
Isn't
Isn't it? Hold on, babies. Isn't it something how somebody can spread a rumor and we all just believe it because we heard it on TikTok?
Bro, Chameleon should have been our president.
Why should Kamala have been the president?
Because she good.
Well, how's she better?
Because
Well, you know what? Wait a minute. It's okay for her to feel that way. I'm a cool.
I forgot about the stuff. Wait, they said that they only put her as a president because she's black, but she's not. They said
She's not even black. She's Indian.
She's not black.
She's Indian. Maybe because would it make you feel? It makes you feel good to see a woman, right? To see a woman represent you, and I get that. But do you want? Hold on, babies. Would you guys rather see somebody, okay, that represents you that maybe don't have your best interests at heart, or would you rather have somebody that looks differently but they care about everybody? So just because you're,
look different, but careful.
she said she'd rather have somebody that looks different but care about everybody, or would you rather have somebody that looks like you and doesn't care about everybody? So all I'm saying is challenge what you've been told. Just because somebody tells you something and it's in a book doesn't mean that it's true. So back to you guys, the 1828. You're welcome. Definition for American is the copper-colored people found here by Christopher Columbus. This is why Trump said African Americans need to learn their history. Because if they keep showing you these movies saying you were a slave, you're going to get a victim mentality. Not you, but some people could. And you might, then have some bad feelings toward your Caucasian brothers and sisters based on a lie.
That's what
So you said they getting into slavery?
his daddy had
I'm not saying that they didn't. I'm not saying they did not. I'm saying there's no proof of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you this. Hold on, babies. Can you believe that tens of thousands of people came on a wooden boat? We live by the Atlantic Ocean here in Jacksonville. Crossed the Atlantic Ocean from Africa to America. Tens of thousands of men, women, and children, and they made it in the cold, in the storm, with the tumult on a wooden boat. Like, I just want to say, challenge your thinking. So, so listen, this is true. When they, okay, I'm not going to stay on this too long because I don't want to.
Is he black?
Oh, is he black? Okay, what does black mean?
Are you racist?
Black people like
Melanin.
American.
Okay,
What if he's big?
okay. What does black mean really? You say it means melanated, means colored. Okay, so
The other one.
how come other people don't call themselves? When somebody comes from India, they tell you, listen. When somebody comes from India, what do they say they are? They say they black or white.
Where you from?
You're from Puerto Rico. He's from Puerto Rico. I just left Puerto Rico. I love your country and your food. Oh my God! You know the cassava that they press together and then they stuff it with. Sometimes they stuff it with meat and sometimes they stuff it with vegetables. Oh my God! Hold on, babies. You asked me if he was black. Listen, he's Puerto Rican. What are you, Ton? You tell me.
What y'all eat out
He's
here?
Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican. Black. Let me tell you. Y'all want to know where black came from?
Me?
Black is not an ethnicity. It's not a nationality. Black is a legal term that means you're dead and you have no standing in law. That's the etymology of
But
black.
now you gotta be thinking. Get out of my head.
Let me tell you, what country are you from? What country are you living in right now? What country? The United States of America. So you're American, but did you know that originally? Let me stand up for a minute. Did you know that originally? I want to stand up. Listen. Originally you were called Indians because when the Europeans came here, they found people here. Remember what I said? Copper colored people found here by Christopher Columbus. They classified you, hold on, as dark skin with wide noses, high cheekbones, and kinky curly hair. So the ancestors, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. If you're really interested, listen, were called Aboriginal or original or Indian. Then people from the Census Bureau, you know how they come by your house? I don't know if you guys know about the Census Bureau. They come by and say who's all in the house, give me the names and dates and all that. They changed the classification and the categorization of the original people here from Indian or Aboriginal Black folk, so-called Black folk. They changed their designation from Indian to colored. Then they called them Negro. It's true. So
you don't want to learn this class at all of them?
Then they called from Aboriginal or Indian to Negro, to colored, then Negro, then Black. Listen, and then it was something else, and then African American. It's true. So this is why, going back to what President Trump said, this is why Trump said you need to know your history. You don't even need him to say that. I'm saying that everybody should know where they came from, because if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. And then you make people feel badly because you're focusing on black, victim, slavery. And then other people, oh, your great grandparents enslaved people. And that's not true. It's not necessarily true. Yes, dear.
You said if we don't know where we came from, so like we could be made out of anything, you saying?
No, I'm saying if you don't know your history, that's a good question. If you don't know your history, really, because now I'm challenging you, right? You're like, what? Our grandparents weren't slaves. God made us. God made us, and we're all the same. God made us one. Everybody came from God. Some people do think that. So that's it. Hold on. Hold on, sweetie pies. Give me 5 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap this up.
Please.
Okay. It can be a bit much. I just wanted to let them know what's going on, family, because they started asking me questions about history, about whether or not all this stuff is true. Yes, they're debating. I love it. They're asking questions, challenging their thoughts. This is not something that is celebrated or in schools or even encouraged. So unfortunately, I think young minds are important and impressionable, and you should teach them true history and give them the tools to research so they can figure out things for themselves. So in a nutshell, we were talking about the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and we were talking about the global version of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, and how that was due to the farmers taking United States Incorporated and the central banking system to court and challenging them, and they won their case. It was found that the United States Incorporated, the fake government, and their central banking system had not only enslaved, participated in fraud and enslaved the farmers. Hold on, sweethearts. through the monetary system, but people in America and all over the world, and we will be compensated for that. So I'll put that document for you in the description section, family, for you to read over for yourself, because a lot of it has been scrubbed from the internet. Even my videos have been scrubbed from the internet. And then, thank you. And then later, yes, baby. Then later on, hold on. So a lot of the videos that I have done on this National Economic Security and Reformation Act were scrubbed from the internet. Hi. Yes, sir. Have a seat. No, have a seat. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, sweetie. So that's it, family. Hello. Hello. I love y'all so much. I'll put this in the description section for you. Please let us know. Please let us know your thoughts. And later on, I'm going to talk to you about, or I'll share a video about Trump's Agenda 47 and how that is actually the part of the NESARA plan going into effect. That's it, family. I love y'all. Let us know what you think. And thank you so much for all your blessings. Somebody just sent me a blessing. Who was that? If you want to send a blessing, you can do $ MamaKia13, $MamaKia13. Thank you so much, Sister Anita. Cheers. I love you. Bye-bye.
You want to YouTube video?